Ooh, you see that? AR-5 would still be benched if it were up to me. 2-5. Yes, you are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports as Ordered. And I already introduced myself going left so much you thought I was southpaw. I would have ducked that Mike Tyson slap. You know what I'm saying? But I got with me. Born in Texas, raised in VA, representing New Jerusalem. He told me the other day that they got the best amusement parks in the country.
Best sandwiches, best pizza, best cheesesteaks.
Mr. Logical. And you know what? And if you disagree with him, you're allowed to. Just don't bring feelings to a fat fight.
Don't do it.
Let's get this thing started with Get It Off My Chest. Like, review, subscribe, share, rate, do all the free things. Do all the good things. Yes, sir. Mr. Logical, start us off.
All right, well, Mike, get off my chest as simple as odd. Something that Mike kind of already alluded to. The Mike Tyson, Jake Paul thing. I'm confused. I'm confused. I don't know what logical sense the fight makes. I don't know what logic to use to make my decision on who I think is going to win. I don't even know if I really want to watch it. I'm kind of nervous about Mike. I would be super surprised if Jake gets knocked out. Also, I don't like the credibility Jake's getting as being a boxer. So I don't want him to knock out a 67, 97-year-old Mike Tyson and then get like this ultra credibility because I'm kind of sick. I'm not sick of Jake Paul. I'm just sick of the way he's behaving regarding the fights, as if we don't see you're not fighting great boxers. You're not even fighting great amateur boxers that decided to go pro at a different fighting sport. And now you're catching them on the back end. So, but you got a retired guy. Oh, we got some referees ruin the game again. I'm so sick of this referees, but that's neither here nor there. We'll yell about them later. Yeah, so the Mike Tyson thing, and then we saw the video with the little slap. And also, these fight press things come up. It makes me think of Hannibal Buress had a joke. Was like, he's like, I like to see regular people fight more than trained fighters because regular people fight 3 o'clock in the morning at the taco spot. The fight's on. And he was like, but these professional fighters like, yo, I'll fuck you up. Now, August. I don't want to see you today, but like maybe I'll see you. We'll meet up a few times and we'll just stand real close and take pictures and talk tough. It's like, so it's weird to see these press conferences. I know Conor McGregor said it out loud. Like he does his antics at the presser to drive sales for the fight. So it's just so much of it doesn't seem real. It seems fake. But he really could knock out Mike Tyson, or Mike Tyson could really try to knock him out, and he could run like Roy Jones did, who admittedly said, "I'm not getting in the ring with this crazy fool again ever." He's like, when I was in there, I just noticed that Mike was going a little too hard, so I ran. So I don't want it to be that either. So I'm torn, but I'm gonna watch with my son. We'll probably have some chicken wings, loaded French fries, all the good deals. But I'm gonna watch it. But I'm just torn on what I expect. I literally don't know what avenue to really lock my mind into. Like when I watched I watched the Eagles Washington game. I want high flying action. I want to see what Jaden Daniels can do. I want, Jalen Hurts to kind of silence his critics. I like Saquon's progression. I want to see Sirianni kind of, revert back to his championship ways versus I have like all these thoughts that I can lock into when I'm watching the game of what I want to see. I have no idea what I want to see out of this Tyson Paul fight. and it's pissing me off that I can't even think of like an avenue for my brain to lock into other than I'm gonna just sit down here Friday night chilling in my house watching this fight on Netflix.
Well,
So that's where I'm at.
Well, I'm going to be up in the Alamo Dome watching the North Texas Mean Green play against the UTSA Roadrunners. So I'm going to miss the fight. I might pull it up on my phone. I don't know. But, you know, I just want Mike Tyson to knock the dude. Like, you remember Martin when he was fighting Tommy the Hitman Hearns? I want Mike Tyson to knock his ass out like that. You know what I'm saying? Send him out the ring. Send him through the crowd. Because you remember Floyd fought I don't know which one Floyd fought. He fought one of them.
Brother. Yeah, he fought.
Yeah, he fought Logan. And he knocked him out, but he held him up because, you know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be an exhibition. You ain't really supposed to knock out the moneymaker in this. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, Mike. If Mike Tyson take a dive, I'm going to be real sad. One Mike podcast in the building Mondays and Thursdays. Check them out. You know, I think that, you know,
I don't think if they gave Mike rules, if they gave Mike a rule saying, like, listen, man, you can't do your famous 2 to the body, 2 to the head uppercut combo. No, I'm doing that. That literally got me Robin Givens and a Tiger. I'm doing that combo.
Logan Paul needs to go back to WWE. You know what I'm saying? He was a pretty great wrestler. You know what I mean?
That move he did when he jumped
on the rope. Yeah.
He was doing some X-Men level stuff. And
you know, and Jake Paul, you know, I want to see him fight like a real boxer. Like, I ain't saying go in there and fight Canelo or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, even though he did call out Canelo, you know what I'm saying? He's 27 years old, you know what I'm saying? He's still young enough. I'm sure he trains, so he all right, go start a career.
Okay, what is Canelo, like, off the top of your head, like, what's the money he's getting for his fights? Is he getting 8 figures guaranteed? Like,
yeah, I mean, he's probably the highest boxer right now.
So if he had a fight for end of this month that was already on the books, he's getting 40, 50 million.
Yeah.
Because if he were to fight Jake Paul, I think that would do numbers. Especially if he did.
It definitely would, but the only problem is that Jake Paul wouldn't be able to talk afterwards.
I don't think the people in Saudi Arabia care. If they did that, if they did it in Riyadh, they get 100 million.
Matter of fact, well, I guess Nagano probably too big, so never mind. But you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna fight, just fight, man. Just fight. You know, but all right, get it off my chest. So at the beginning of this season, Mr. Logical and I went through our conference previews. We landed on the ACC. And one of the first things that I said was, is Bill O'Brien going to try to turn Thomas Castellanos, or Castellanos, if you will, into a passer instead of using his athletic ability? Because, you know, we had the conversation that Jalen Milroe put us on with, you know, about how, what is it, lank? You know what I'm saying? Let a naysayer know. And
great to see his being bite of the year for sure.
Yeah, but Bill O'Brien told him, like, you're not a quarterback, son. And he was going to use that as motivation, and all he did was become the best running back in the country, not named Ashton Genty. But, you know, from there, you know, so I thought about Castellanos, and I said, hey, Boston College could be a team that makes noise in the ACC, not from the standpoint of winning the conference, but they could be that 8-4 spoiler team that nobody wants to play. That's how highly I thought of Castellanos. So anyway, you know, they started off the season, came into Tallahassee, beat up on my squad, you know, got out of there, lost to Missouri 1-1, started 5-1. They went through a 3-game losing streak to include their last game against Syracuse, where he was benched for Grayson James, who transferred in from Florida International, and he might be a bottom 800 quarterback that I've ever seen play college football. You know, so I get being upset about losing your job to that guy. But at the same time, he's a bum. So you might have your job back in another 2 weeks. But where we are in college football, the transfer portal, NIL, before I go any further and before Mr. Logical tries to attack me, I support the transfer portal. I support NIL. What I don't support is running from adversity. So it'd be one thing if this was the end of the season and he said, you know what, this ain't work out, I'm out of here. Because there is a rule. We saw Matt Schlock, at UNLV. We saw Bear Alexander at USC. They played their 4 games, red shirt. They keep that year of eligibility the next year. Well, you had already played 9 games, dummy. So you don't get that year back. So you might as well finish out the year, not quit on your teammates, who I'm sure you probably made friends with, over the course, because you're a junior now. So, now, with that being said, come to Tallahassee, bro. Come to Death Row. But on top of that, you got Miller Moss. You got Miller Moss at USC, who got benched. He wasn't the problem per se, but he got benched for Jaden Mayava. Same thing. Rumors already. Like, it hasn't even been a full week, and everybody's like, he's headed to Michigan. Castellanos, I've already seen 5 schools, and he just left yesterday. So like, you can't succeed if you're always looking for the greener grass. Now, granted, here comes Saquon, get me some fantasy points, but make me upset at the same time. But
how do you not have a guy on Saquon?
So when you get benched and you leave, where's the redemption story? Because what happens when you go to your next school? And if you get beat out there, you're going to leave again? That's my problem with the transfer portal. I love the transfer portal from the standpoint of the players get a say, they get money, they get paid, because nobody's coming to the stadium to see the athletic director. You get that, Utah? But that's all I'm saying. Oh, better today, came through. Yeah. One mic. Oh, look who's in the building. Look who's in the building. Oh, the original fan of Sports Reports is ordered. Chris, what up?
What up, Chris?
But that's how I feel, Mr. Logical, why you going to eat on camera and shit. You know what I'm saying? But these kids, I wasn't going to say soft. But I was going to say they need strong figures in their life to tell them, son, you're wrong. See it out at the end of the season, and if you decide to leave, after that, if you decide that it's time for you to move on, you don't want to play for Bill O'Brien, okay. But you can't even redshirt. I don't get it.
This is a perfect segue, because what I was researching was an instant gratification. It's been like a phenomenon when you deal with the phones. We talked about growing up in our era. With death. You had to work for opportunities because you didn't know everything that was out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if we looked at something as simple as you're 15, 16, you went to a high school football game. Now there's potentially an after party. It's either one at this place or it's one at this place. Well, you want to meet some girls. You're like, okay, we can go to the mall and hang out. We can go to the high school game. We can go to this party.
Grab some baby oil.
So you had to figure out where you were going, and you had to make it work as far as your entertainment. I'm not saying just chicks, girls, your entertainment, but you couldn't go everywhere at once. So once I got to the football game, there was no cell phone telling me, yo, it's popping at the mall. You should have came to the mall. Like, I'm at the game. I'm going to make it work at the game. This party is close to the game. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to work on making it work here. This current regime, now that they have the access to knowing that, the Michigan quarterback situation is less than desirable, and is an avenue for me to get from Boston College to Michigan if necessary, or USC to Texas Tech. That even though you're in Southern California, you know it when you're in Massachusetts. So that can cloud your judgments. And because of that, I don't fault guys for wanting to go to these different places. I fault the people who are advising them on how they go about it. Because I'll tell you, if you, like, I give you a prime example. When my son played football after his first year, I moved him up his second year because I thought it was the best thing for him. Like, yo, you should move up. You shouldn't play this level. You should play. And I did all these things, and I convinced him essentially like that was moving up was a good thing. And granted, he wanted to, but if I was getting advice from someone else and not seeking that instant gratification of seeing like, oh, my son moved up, after I did that, I realized I need to stay the hell out of the way. But I had to take that year to figure out like I'm not a recruiter, dad. That's not my job. My job isn't to put him in all these different. Like my job is to make sure he gets to whatever practice he needs to get to. He has all the equipment he needs, all the food he needs, all the water, and to support him on the field, off the field, at home, wherever he needs to be. Like that's my job. My job isn't to see how far I can make him elevate in football. But I didn't understand that piece because I wasn't seeking that advice. These guys aren't probably getting the right advice. Getting benched in the game where you're playing poorly and your team turns around and wins, and you know you're better than the other guy they put you in for, take your lumps. But if you're out there and a guy is starting multiple games and it's clear you are better than him and you are wasting your time, get out of Dodge. And that's the difference. I think a lot of times these guys are just in a situation where they underperform and coach is like, listen, your performance is tied to my employment. I can't keep riding with your performance being this low and my employment on the line. So I'm like, I gotta make a move.
They came back to win that game against Syracuse, but watch
200 yards rushing.
But watch Grayson James come out there this weekend, and when they get beat 41-10 by SMU, we'll see what's up. You know what I'm saying? But you walked out, so there's nothing to see now because the advisors, you're a meal ticket to them. You know what I mean? And that's fine. You know what I mean? If that's your agreement.
I think what it is, I think athletes have talked about this. We talk about this all the time. There are top 100, top 300, top 250, different websites ranking different high school players coming out every year.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys that were ranked ahead of LeBron, ahead of D Wade in their senior year. There was guys ranked ahead of Archie Manning, guys ranked ahead of Peyton Manning. There was guys ranked ahead of Tom Brady. There's guys ranked in all these different positions all over the place. It just comes down to when you as an individual get your opportunity, how'd you capitalize? How'd you deal with adversity? Tom Brady kept getting benched for this guy, Drew Henson, out of Michigan, because he was a local star, multiple sports star. He was like number one player in a couple of different sports. And they just wanted to get him out there. He ended up playing, I think he played for the Yankees and he played for the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Lenny Cook. Lenny Cook's still out here doing interviews talking about how he was ranked higher than LeBron. No one cares. What did you do when you had your opportunity? You can ruin your opportunity by transferring too much. What's the boy name that went to Rice and went to USC? JT Daniels. He probably was, I think he was like highly rated top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, went to Georgia, West Virginia, Rice,
USC.
I'm sure there was another one too. Yeah, I think it was 5 total.
Like 5 schools. And this is pre-NIL transfer portal. He just was like, sometimes you might have to sit your ass down and see, what do I need to work on? Am I at a good school? Am I working with a good coach? Do I have the respect of my teammates? If that's gone, then leave. But if you're literally going to transfer because you were having a bad game and the coach pulled you out, you just got to deal with it. But like I said, I understand that coaches will use you for their benefit as well. So I'm also an advocate for the player. Like I understand, like a coach will beg you to come out and play for their team until another player your position just happens to show up, and you will be second string. But they'll beg you all off season, hey man, you should come play basketball, come play point guard for me. And all of a sudden, Lou Williams decides to transfer in, and it's like now you on the bench, or like Lou said it in one of his interviews. I saw this podcast this week. He said that after his freshman year, the first day of tryouts, the coach came out and said, "If you're trying out for point guard or shooting guard, you can go ahead and leave now."
And that's the thing, like I said, he got benched for a player that's lesser than. Maybe the guy is a better fit. We'll see, but from what I've seen, I don't think so. But here we go, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's time to start with these picks. So of course, triumph or misery. The Buffalo Bills have played the Kansas City quite a few times over the last couple of years. And we've seen it all. We saw the AFC Championship game with 13 seconds left. Patrick Mahomes led the team down the field for the field goal, go to overtime. That might be
one of the most unbelievable drives in the history of football, and I don't think people give it the credit that it deserves if you think about
100%
what this team did.
100%.
13 seconds left.
And then, we saw Travis Kelce try to pull off one of the greatest plays in NFL history last year, and it was called back on the toss to Kadarius Toney.
Only because it was a whole foot offside.
Then we get to the playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs have a chance to put the game away. Mecole Hardman fumbles in the end zone, touchback. Buffalo gets the ball, missed field goal. Kansas City triumphs again.
Shout out for that touchback. NFL, look at me. Do not change that rule. I know people clamor for it because it happened a few times last year. I'm looking right at the camera. I rarely do that. Do not change that rule.
And
rule. If you fumble that shit at the end zone, the defense did their job. The other team gets the ball.
Well, they actually changed the overtime after that 13-second game because Josh Allen didn't get to touch the ball. And what ended up happening was the Bills haven't won an overtime game since they changed the rule for them.
And then that change, and the thing about it, that rule change got Kansas City a Super Bowl.
It did.
Because they got the ball second. The game would have been over.
And
Josh would have been over.
Josh Allen in his last 6 games against Kansas City, passer rating 101.2, 1679 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So it ain't a Josh Allen thing, but in the playoff game last year, they did something a little different. They turned Josh Allen into what we're seeing Justin Herbert. We ain't going to get into that again. But they turned Josh Allen into what Justin Herbert is this year, for the purposes of that game. They didn't want him to turn the ball over. They didn't want him to force the ball. Stephon Diggs dropped the big pass. So here we are, Mr. Logical. Sunday, Orchard Park. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. But what say you?
I think Kansas City is a very complete team. I think all the pieces that they have work. I just feel that all the games out this year, the 9 games they played this year, I haven't seen this, and I could be wrong, but I'm just going to say this, and it seems like a crazy thing. Each team essentially will get the ball in the first quarter at some point. Either you win the toss or you get a stop, or you score, you get the ball back. I need to see Kansas City give me an opening drive touchdown, get the ball back, get a field goal, and then sometime in the second quarter, get another touchdown, go on to halftime, 17 to 20 points on the board.
Right.
Because they're Kansas City. And because they haven't done that, that's the part that leads me to not pick them week after week. Like with my chest. Like I can pick them with like analytics. I'm like, well, they're ranked top 5 defense against the run, against the pass. They have Chris Jones in the middle is very disruptive. But ultimately, like I need them to put a drive together a couple of drives together where it looks like we are going to get this touchdown. Like the drive starts off that way. I don't want like some miracle 3rd and 12 completion and then they get a second. Like I need like consistent boom. Kelsey's in the middle. He's open. Patrick hits him. Like in the game against Denver, Kelsey's wide open in the back of the end zone. And Mahomes airmails it. It was no one there. I don't know. Maybe it was somebody underneath that he had to like go up and over and get the ball down, and it
Right.
never just came back down. But when you look at Kelsey, he's back there by himself. First of all, I'm not going to let Kelsey wide up in the back of the end zone. That's on Denver. But in the same sense, it's like I need to see a couple touchdown drives and a good drive, get you a field goal, 17 first half points. If you give me 17 first half points and you're moving the ball consistently, then I feel more confident. I just think Buffalo can get to 30 points no matter what. They are just going to get to 30 points. Not against Kansas City, but like I just think that they can get to 30. Even last week without their weapons, I just think that they're just capable of getting 30 points. So I'm not seeing Kansas City comfortably get to 20 points week in and week out. Like they got to 22 against Atlanta. Atlanta got the ball back and could have scored a touchdown. Kyle Pitts said, like the people said, the interference.
Mm-hmm.
But then Kansas City came right back out. You know, like Patrick Mahomes, 6 minutes left. Oh, that's a wrap. They up 5. He's going to get the 3 first downs they need to get him to the 2-minute warning and then move him in the field goal range and at least get the field goal to go up 8. Like that's what you expect when Patrick Mahomes comes on the field. I haven't seen that at all this year, and that's why I'm picking Buffalo to end the winning streak this weekend.
You know what? I'm so excited. I'm about to jump through this table. Like I'm right up in Orchard Park. You know what I'm saying? So check me out. You know what I'm saying? So Amari Cooper's back this week. But our guy, you know, friend of the show, he just don't know it yet. Keon Coleman is not going to be there. You know, so this is Buffalo this season. Ready for this one, Mike? So, at home versus on the road. They scored 12.1 more points per game at home. So that's number one. Number two, this is not vintage Patrick Mahomes. This is, I don't know who. Like, you know, he went out there and dressed up in a Mac Jones costume or something. 12 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Who is this guy? You know, first of all, yeah, for real, Chris. You know, 72 Dolphins, rest in peace, Mercury Morris. You know,
don't
Buffalo
call me when you're in my neighborhood. Call me when you're in my house.
So Buffalo
call me in my town. Call me when you're in my neighborhood. That's what he said. Yeah.
Buffalo didn't lose the playoff game because they were too conservative. Buffalo didn't lose the playoff game because Stephon Diggs dropped the pass. The reason that they lost that game is because they were too conservative and they weren't the Buffalo Bills. You can't contain somebody like Josh Allen. You have to let him freelance and just deal with the result. I think they get back to that this weekend. I look for Buffalo to run some screens on first and second down to get Chris Jones and those guys to think about it and maybe delay a half a second because that's all it takes. You know, I think that in this game, we're going to see a lot of Dalton Kincaid. You know, hopefully.
I thought he was listed as doubtful.
Well, if he's doubtful, then give me Dawson. But my overall point is the tight ends. I think the tight ends are going to prove a weakness in Kansas City's defense. You know, Wanye Morris is questionable on the offensive line for Kansas City. Knock, knock. Who's there? Von Miller on your ass.
All the roids.
All the roids. You know what I'm saying?
Don't just fade away. I love how they get suspended for like a couple of games. Like, I already got strong.
So, yeah. So, give me Buffalo. Give me Buffalo. I'm going to call it a little bit low. I know you brought up 30 points, not necessarily saying that Buffalo's going to score 30 this week.
I just feel like throughout this year, they have shown the capability of getting 30 points. I don't think Kansas City's clipped 28 yet.
But I'm going to go 27-21 with a Patrick Mahomes Hail Mary attempt falling to the ground.
Oh, if he throws a Hail Mary, Tim's going to be a pass interference.
No, if he throws a Hail Mary, they're going to win. Do you see they got that Shamrock this year? All right, so let's go to, I don't even know how to pronounce the stadium. Is it a seizure? I don't even know how to say it. But let's go to Pittsburgh.
It's a censure.
Whatever it is, that shit is the ketchup bottle. That shit is Heinz Field. You know what I'm saying? So Baltimore is coming in.
Called Guy High Field. No, it's Arrowhead. I don't care who paid. It's Arrowhead.
Yeah, so the Ravens are coming in. You know, Lamar Jackson, 1-3 career against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is kind of
4 games
because he always hurt.
And he won MVP in 2019, right?
Yeah,
That's 10 games. So you mean
He be getting hurt.
He missed 6 games against Pittsburgh?
I know that he missed 5 games the one year where Huntley came in and took him to the playoffs when Huntley went for the dive and fumbled in Cincinnati. He missed 5 games that year, and then he also missed 5 games the year before that. So, you know.
The Steelers game's been in that ring.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson.
And I was like, 1-3. He got 2 MVPs. You mean to tell me he only played his division opponent 4 times?
So you know, so Lamar Jackson in his career more interceptions than touchdowns against the Steelers. You know, so let me ask you a question, Mr. Logical. And you know what I'm saying? I know Mike gonna chime in too, but let me know what y'all think about this. I was trying to figure it out. Do you think that it hurt or helped Pittsburgh to play against Jaden Daniels the week before they play Lamar Jackson? Or do you think it makes no difference?
I don't think it makes a difference because what you get with Jaden is there is clear athleticism, but it's not implemented the way that Lamar utilizes his athleticism.
That's a Pro Bowler, Mike.
He's a Pro Bowler. Shout out to University of Utah. Utah used to recruit the hell out of Florida. I don't know how you convinced dudes from Florida to come to Salt Lake, but they were doing it.
White girls.
Yeah, that helps. Oh, now we're not getting.
Sorry, Dr. Umar. I'm so sorry, Dr. Umar.
Listen, if you ever go to Salt Lake, you'll see what we're talking about. Everyone's very polite. All the people. Yeah, so I don't think so because, like I said, Lamar, that play against Cincinnati last week where he ran, I'm screaming, throw it. He just tiptoed down the sideline and dove at the 1 yard line. Jaden Daniels not doing that. Not yet.
Okay.
He's not moving the same way yet.
Okay.
I think all those years of this, like I thought they would see Lamar Jackson a lot more. Like it just seems like I didn't think he only played 4 games against them, but I like Pittsburgh. They're the defense. And they talked about it a lot in the Cincinnati game. And that was like the first time I really sat and like watched the full standalone Baltimore game this year because, you know, in prime time or whatever. The linebackers seem to be really good in run defense. And they don't pass off the zone passing responsibilities the same way. Like that Jamar Chase touchdown, he just ran like a dig route.
Mm-hmm.
And the linebackers, I think Roquan Smith dropped, but they both dropped kind of like this direction, and Jamar Chase came underneath and caught the pass. So it looked like it was 5 defenders around him, but 2 of them looked like they both dropped out of the way. Like they dropped, counter to his path. So he caught the ball coming this way. They're backing up this way. So when they see him catch the ball underneath, they have to readjust and try to catch Jamar Chase from behind. It's impossible.
Not happening. Yeah.
That happened a lot. So it just seems as if, and without Kyle Hamilton coming down, being the guy in the box, and he can't catch. Like his hands are just bad. So if you can catch an interception, it'd be all right. But he's such a great tackler. It's like, it's a confusion. Like where I don't know if he can, I don't know if his ball skills, Pauls, are that great on the back end, but him good in the box. So they're great at run defense. I just think that they can be exploited with the pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, the Steelers swept the Ravens last year, touchdown Saquon, or maybe he's down.
They're marking him short, which
and of course, one of those games was at the end of the year, last game of the season, starters sat down, all that stuff. But in the last 7 matchups,
Saquon's face is like, I know we're doing a damn twitch push now.
I know Jalen about to snake another touchdown away, but
I think he scored though. Let's look at it. Up.
No, he's down. He's down.
He's down. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Steelers have held the Ravens below 20 points in each of their last 7 matchups, and these matchups always come down to the wire. Like remember the one year we talked about Harbaugh gonna get fired because he kept going for 2. He went for 2 in Pittsburgh, and lost that game. Last year, in that first game, Baltimore up 14-10. Guess what? George Pickens, down the field deep, to win that game. You know, Pittsburgh needs to keep Baltimore in 3rd and long. Make Lamar have to complete 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 8s, things along those lines. Obviously, he's going to get some yards with his feet, but, you know, it is what it is. And Jalen Hurts is a damn thief.
Yo,
You
I
know,
cannot stand that they call that. I know we're getting sidetracked. I know for a fact that Sirianni has to know that when the running back runs it down to the 1 yard line, a pseudo marginalized group in the NFL who's not getting paid because people feel like your production can be replaced.
and this man
He
missed the extra point.
They're
going to keep doing that shit until he separates a shoulder or gets knocked in the head.
Give the ball to the running back, especially when you got Saquon Barkley.
Especially when he on my fantasy team.
When you paying him $39 million.
That too. But
I'm back on track.
But Joey Porter Jr. has to find a way to keep his hands to himself because, you know, he's like Ahmed Gardner in that way. We're not calling him Sauce. Ahmad Gardner. That's his name. You know, and then you look at this. It's the Steelers' first division game.
It's crazy.
Which is crazy this late in the season.
Week 11.
But I'm going to take the Ravens, and I'm going to call it 21-13.
You're going to. We're at Pittsburgh. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to ride or die with my bad news.
With the black Air Force Ones.
Black Air Force One energy. I'm taking Mike Tomlin. I don't know. I just think they're playing with house money, and they know it. And Tomlin he just has the AFC North's number because the reason that he's over 500 every year is that 2 of the 3 teams just can't beat him.
Yeah,
like every year they're like 4-2. It seems like in the division, even though they're 500 in the rest of their games. They get 4 wins from the division no matter what. And it's like, how is that the case? And that's always
yeah.
But the pass defense for Baltimore, how do you have the offense come back and go up 28-21, 2-point conversion to go up 28-21, and give up a 78-yard bomb or 70-yard bomb to Jamar Chase?
Secondary is horrible outside of Kyle
all
Hamilton.
People. I don't care what the coverage is supposed to be. If I see one running fast as shit near me, now I'm taking that. You can have whatever you want underneath. This dude's running a go route. I'm going with him.
All right, so let's go to the craziest division in the NFL, the NFC West, where we have the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Seattle Seahawks. This is a rematch from a Thursday night football game a couple of weeks ago where Seattle had chance after chance after chance after chance to put the 49ers away. They couldn't score in the red zone. Lowest red zone touchdown percentage in the NFL. They ain't beating the 49ers this time either.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Packers and hands off shout out to the long snapper for stepping up and slapping the hell out of Debo.
I thought Debo choked him.
Nah, he pushed. He was saying something to Moody, and the long snapper stepped up like, "Yo, watch your mouth. You walking in here like a single mom with your little leather jacket and your little baby shorts. Now you trying to be tough on the sideline."
I can't be mad. I mean, Jake Moody did miss 3 field goals.
I don't care. You listen. Debo done dropped some balls. He didn't fumble. No one ran up on him.
He done missed some games.
He didn't walked in the games with bell bottoms on and little pleather shorts and Louis Vuitton Prada Mary Jane shoes. Like, get out of here. Don't be acting all tough with the long snapper and the kicker.
See, look at this. Look at this. You saw that Quinyon Mitchell been up against when he's up on McLaurin, they haven't targeted him one time. You know, but hey, 3rd leading receiver in the NFL. What do I know? But hey, Packers and Bears. You know, we talked about Thomas Brown the other day taking over as offensive coordinator. I don't expect much to change. You know, Green Bay is a high variance team.
Now, what's the day? November
14th. Yes.
Yeah, Caleb Williams is not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm calling it right now. His career will be it'll fizzle out.
Okay.
In the next couple of years. I just don't think he's a good quarterback.
Okay.
I don't like his temperament. I don't like his accuracy. I don't like his decision making. I don't like the fact that he keeps making the same mistakes. CJ Stroud pulled him to the side a month ago.
Caleb football, they want to hear that.
Stop taking so many hits. Even if you didn't get anything else from that game,
So,
it's the fact that the other guy your age was like, "Yo, dog, stop taking so many hits."
so Green Bay is a high.
9 times.
Green Bay is a high variance team. You know, Jordan Love's going to turn the ball over, and Xavier McKinney's going to take the ball back from you. You know, Jordan Love has been hurt all year. You know, I think he's still got some groin stuff going on. You know, they're going into Soldier Field, and this is the game. Same thing that I kind of said about Buffalo. This is where I look for Cole Kmet to establish himself. You know, last year, 73
As if his quarterback would throw the check down.
Well, yeah, and that's what you would think with a rookie quarterback. You would
throw it to the tight end.
Would be the safety blanket.
He's 6'6".
Yeah, and last year he had 73 catches on 90 targets. This year,
and right on cue, 3rd and long,
Zach
Ertz gets the pass from Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
hit your back foot, throw it to the read. He never does that, and DJ Moore is upset because you imagine he's your number one guy. He's probably the read on, let's say, 40% of their pass plays. He's probably the number one read.
Yeah.
How many targets do you think he gets? He doesn't get 40% of the targets because Caleb doesn't throw it. Like, because he's not accurate. He doesn't trust it. I'm not knocking him. I just feel like at some point you got to be like, you got to learn how to play this position. And I don't think he's learning. I don't think he's adjusting. I think he's regressing every single week. Did
you see this Jaquan Brisker story?
I heard about the concussion. He went back in that game, and he's been out
ever since
that injury.
Yeah, he got cleared. He got cleared, and then they said that the next day his symptoms came back, and then
he hit his head between the end of the game and the next day.
I don't know, but now this is his 5th straight game that he's missing.
Does he have an injury to his skull?
Does he have a TBI? Like, forget a concussion.
That's what I'm saying. Like, does he have like an actual physical?
I don't know. It's scary, and I'm praying for him.
Skull?
I'm praying for him, but
I have concussion symptoms for a month.
Yeah, I expect a lot of Josh Jacobs in this game. You know, I think Green Bay is going to win this game fairly easily. Like, I think the Bears defense will keep them around. So it'll be one of those games where it's close going into the 4th quarter. Green Bay adds on a touchdown and a field goal and 24-9, something along those lines.
I think it's business decision time for a lot of players.
Yeah,
remember that game. That game against New Orleans had a game, and they were getting mollywopped, and guys suddenly had tight hamstrings, couldn't come back in the second half. I think we're getting to that point in Chicago where it's like, I'm saving myself for my next.
Well, you know, according to
you're getting a new coach. Any person knows you're getting a new coach. Oh my goodness, stuffed it up.
Yeah,
go for on 4th down. There's going to be a read option to Jade. He's going to keep it, and then they're going to get stopped.
I fear did my nose in the summer.
So I think it's going to be a lot of business decisions. I just being like I said, just being like a sports dad, and just kind of I've been around like teams, and I've watched something I don't say I studied, but it's something I paid attention to. Everybody, when it's going bad, I've watched parents, coaches.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Nope, didn't get it. I watched
he bobbled the snap.
Coaches. I've watched players. I've seen the like the regression of emotion from being successful early on to it just kind of falling apart. That's how games end up 42-10. Because at some point the game was 7-0, cool. Then it's 14-0. But then after like it's 21-0, guys check out.
So do you think that these vets really wanted Tyson Bagent?
I think they probably are sick of Caleb. Like, I mean, we've seen him publicly. Like Bo Nix. Bo Nix at the podium, when he got in an argument with Sean Payton on the sideline, and the reporter asked him, what was that exchange? And he said He told me he loved me. I told him I loved him back. Obviously, we knew that wasn't the conversation,
Right.
but to
Right.
have that kind of presence to not get down and be like, we're all just working really hard. And Bo Nix lost some games. He doesn't look great, but he has more touchdowns than some of the rookies. But the way he's handling the ups and downs of the season are just
Well, I
better
mean, he
than what
stayed
he
in
was doing.
college till he was 31, so he's mature.
Hey,
So,
that's part of it.
hey, so you think DJ Moore walked up to Caleb and was like, "You clean the locker room"?
He probably hadn't talked to Caleb in weeks.
I agree. So you brought up Bo Nix. That was my next game. Falcons at Broncos, Mile High Stadium. I don't care what they call it these days. I know it was in Power Field last time I was there, but
In Vesco
look,
Field,
man,
we've been there. Shout out to show the shirt off NCOA, Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado.
Vossler, saying schoolhouse,
Voster Academy.
but so my guy, Nasty Nas to Esco to Escobar. Now he is Nostradamus. Well, Yahweh just went to Young Ho. Missed 3 field goals himself against the Saints last week in a game that the Falcons had no business losing. And it doesn't matter who the coach is, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, doesn't matter what year it is, doesn't matter what century it is, doesn't matter what decade it is, doesn't matter what day it is, doesn't matter what month it is. The Falcons going to lose a fucking game they ain't got no business losing.
Philly about to beat the brakes off the Commanders. Hating.
Hey, piss off. Piss off. How about that?
You getting stuffed on 2nd and inches.
I'm going with the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going with the Falcons.
I'm going with the Broncos. Cortland Sutton out there licking his chops after he watched MVS tape last week.
Yeah, he had 3 catches.
Yeah, 2 of them were touchdowns. I'll take a 66%.
I don't think go man-to-man with safeties, 0 coverage.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all better go to school and get your percentages up. You know what I'm saying? But
they gotta be able to rush the passer better than Atlanta. It's hurting my soul. I just figure,
I look for Audric Estime too. Audric Estime is going to have a game this week as well against Atlanta.
The ball's going to travel a little further. Maybe they kick the 60-yard field goal versus last week when they went for it on 4th and 9 instead of kicking. Like I think it would have been like a 62-yard field goal. It's like they tried to throw the little out route, and Ray McLeod got tackled short of the first down, and it just was pointless. Yeah, I'm taking Atlanta. I think last week they played a little too tight. Air it out. Oh my goodness. Recovered.
AJ Brown better not get no fantasy points for recovering that fumble.
No, that wasn't him. Right, so he called first down. He picked the fumble up. It was like first down.
All right. So then after that, talking about the team that the Falcons lost to, Jameis Winston is going back to the scene of the crime where he lost a job that he had no business losing. Derek Carr got paid. Derek Carr got paid, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. Derek Carr was a DEI hire. That was Jameis's squad. They believed in Jameis. He was motivating them. The Saints were playing a lot better when he was in the lineup. So now he's in Cleveland coming off the bye week. The Saints going to get beat down.
Jameis had 14 touchdowns and 3 picks when he tore his ACL the year before they signed Derek Carr. This game shouldn't be on TV, but because it's a division opponent, I'm taking Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going with Cleveland.
New Orleans has and I talked about this earlier when we had our preview, and you said they're going to be terrible. I think they have guys. It's the same conversation we had about Milwaukee with basketball. I just think those guys might be old.
I think that Derek Carr's not a leader.
Everything has to go well. I don't think he lacks leadership.
I think he lacks fire. Like you know what I mean? Like he's like one of those guys that's easy going.
Too much fire sometimes.
Like he's easy going. He just is forced. I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? But Mr. Logical, I know I say this a couple of times a month, and I'm gonna say it one more time.
Listen, say it over what you want to say.
When I love hard. and and I don't want to let go.
I hate that you drop your voice when you say it,
You know
though.
what I'm saying? I hold the love close to my chest. Get in the end zone, Saquon, so he don't take your touchdown. Now block the extra point. Let's get the touchdown and get a 2-point conversion. I hate fantasy football, but anyway, so the Titans are going to Minnesota.
You're out of your mind.
Sam Darnold has thrown picks in 7 out of the 9 games that Minnesota has played. Last week against Jacksonville, I don't know what that was. The good news is they held Jacksonville to 138 total yards. The bad news is yesterday in practice, it sounds like Sam Darnold banged up that throwing hand. But that's not the reason I'm picking the Titans.
Oh, you might miss it. Let's see.
I'm picking the Titans because of that. That was close. It was close.
Oh,
But I'm picking the Titans because of the defense. You know what I'm saying? I think they're going to force turnovers. Will Levis made it through last week without a turnover. So let's see if he can do it 2 weeks in a row.
yeah. Just he had his mayonnaise deal, and hopefully that pays him well as he goes in the future. But it's a lot of these young quarterbacks are gonna be either a situation where they get paid, they don't deserve it, or they're gonna give teams. I think teams are going to be able to work in real discounts if they're brutally honest. If they bring in like Key and Peele when they had like the angry Obama voice,
Yeah.
they need to bring that in for the GM. Don't let the GM talk. Let that guy say, like, listen, you suck, but you're a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
And Dak is getting $60 million. You are not that good. We don't want to give you up. But if you're going to take this $28 million and we're going to get some players around you, I know the NFLPA won't ever let that happen, but all of these rookies that are playing, all these young guys are playing, haven't shown any promise. And for that, I'm not going to pick them. I'll pick Minnesota because I figure the confusing cover 2, cover 3, who's blitzing, who's not, is going to cost Will Levis. Because it's going to make Will Levis make a couple mistakes.
Okay.
You got a young quarterback, rookie head coach that had to hire his dad to help him. Like, come on. Like, none of that is a recipe for success. Andy Reid's dad has never been on the staff.
Right. Right.
So
we love our fans. We love the subscribers. We love everybody watching, right? So pay attention. I love y'all. So do not drink Saturday night. And if you do drink Saturday night, don't come home Sunday and turn on Jets and Colts because it's all coming up. Anthony Richardson is back in the lineup. So I'm already about to try to find me some website. I know Prize Picks talks about this many yards. Is he going to get a touchdown? I'm trying to find a website where I can predict Anthony Richardson to go 12 for 34. Is there a way I can put money on that?
1, 2, 3, 4.
You know what I'm saying? Ahmad Gardner is going to be holding receivers, getting away with it. Jonathan Taylor should be able to run all over the Jets. The Jets lead the league in missed tackles this season. So against my better judgment, I'm going to take the Colts.
Appreciate the input, Steve. Like I said, I'm taking the Colts are my dad's favorite team, but even he honestly would understand why I would pick the Jets. I'm picking the Jets because I think that their quarterback, even though he isn't as dynamic and I don't think he's a great leader, and I really pride myself on my leadership ability, and I really look up to people who are great leaders. I think that's one of the greatest things you can be in a person's life or a group or a family or work dynamic is just be a good leader. I think you can get so much accomplished with great leadership.
Oh, Jesus. And Steve,
so I'll pick the Jets just because I think they can make something happen.
Right.
But I'm not thinking it's going to be a great game. It won't be a 28-27, barn burner. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%, Steve. I think that was probably from upstairs. I don't know if Shane Steichen made that decision on his own.
I think Steichen got pressure from. I
From
think
Irsay.
pressure. No, I don't know from Irsay because Irsay's be popping pills all the time. I don't know if he's thinking straight. I think we talked about this in our pre-meeting. I talked about it at work, and I had a conversation with my father last night. Sometimes I feel like people are afraid to make decisions that are incumbent with the responsibilities of their job. It's like that's part of your job to you make the call, live and die with it. And I think that he probably wanted to ride or die with Anthony Richardson, but he succumbed to some kind of pressure from
Well,
somewhere.
the
I
dude
don't know
played
where it
3
came
games.
from.
The dude played 3 games last year in his rookie year. He's got to have reps.
Don't call 32 passes for a guy you know is only completing 40-something% of his passes.
Yeah, everybody talks about how he jumped out the stadium, like run quarterback draw or something.
Don't even run it. Just the threat of Lamar Jackson running the ball opens up at least one of the gaps for Derrick Henry on the counter. Like just the fact that Lamar is here and Henry is here and they hold the ball here for a half a second before either
is enough to throw you off.
It's enough to open up at least one of those gaps between a guard and the center on either the counter or whatever it is. It's enough to get your dynamic running back some space.
Right.
It's very simple. You don't call 32 to 34 passes with a guy that you clearly, and we all see, is not that accurate. Don't give him that many opportunities to throw the ball. Unless they're screens, checkdowns, drag routes to the tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why it's that difficult. I played Madden with Atlanta. Every time I played Madden, I had Desmond Ridder. He couldn't throw the seam route, so I didn't call it. Even on the video game, it's like, I'm throwing Drake London outs. I'm throwing drags. I'm throwing corners. The seam route it wasn't in his digital wheelhouse.
Why would you
Anthony Richardson?
Why would you pressure a coach to bench Anthony Richardson when you saw what this coach did with Jalen Hurts? That's all.
I don't think it's the same. Jalen Hurts was a little bit more mature. Played a lot.
No, it's not about them being the same player or anything like football. That. No, but it's not about them.
He had a harder coach. He played at a higher level in the same conference. He had adversity at college, transferred. He shows a different level of maturity. I'm not saying Anthony Richardson is immature. It's just that you knew Jalen Hurts.
No, and I'm not trying to say that they're the same player or similar or anything like that. I'm just talking about taking a quarterback that was having issues and improving him. Let Shane Steichen work. I mean, the guy won 9 games with Gardner Minshew right now. What the Raiders doing? Saying the Raiders about to get that ass kicked by the Dolphins. That's what they're doing.
So we're in agreement on that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're in agreement on that. We ain't got to spend time on that one. Yeah. We ain't got to spend no time on the Rams going into Foxborough because I'm taking the Rams. I think Drake May is going to play well against that.
Matthew Stafford and his 9 touchdowns and 7 picks. You just taking the Rams? I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah, I'm just taking the Rams. You know what I'm saying? They got a chance to make the division. To win the division still, get into the playoffs. The Patriots are going to play well.
Matthew Stafford has 9 touchdowns and 7 picks in the last couple of weeks. He had his Avengers with him.
Hey, you're going to start talking about that, man. I'm going to say corner again. That's down. The game, y'all. That's the game.
Not really, Nate. You'll be down 16. That's 2 possessions still.
So Jacksonville, coming off of Mac Jones, our guy McCorkle.
I blame Bill O'Brien for McCorkle's struggles.
Yeah.
When he cussed him out like that, if I was Mac Jones' dad, I would have called Bill O'Brien. Cuss one of my kids out like that on TV.
All I'm gonna say about this game is Detroit's gonna name their score. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Sunday Night Football, Mr. Logical probably thinks I'm gonna pick the Chargers, but I'm not. Jamar Chase leading the league in receiving by a whole 150 yards over Justin Jefferson. Joe Burrow is putting up an MVP season for the ages that he won't win the MVP in because the rest of his team is capital T trash.
Well, not if they're going to 3-game run, and you figure
They get the
3
7 and
games
6 is on.
7 and 6 is on, especially if he gets you. He's at 24 touchdowns. If he has 32 passing touchdowns at the end of the next 3 games, I can see the conversation changing, especially if Lamar
I could
loses to
see
Pittsburgh this week.
I could see the conversation if the final week of the season they have a chance to win to get into the playoffs. It's a win-in situation, and he goes for 3 or 4 touchdowns in that game. Then I think we can have a conversation with his overall numbers.
Okay,
But
hold on.
but otherwise,
I gotta check something real quick.
I don't see it. But I do think the Chargers are going to keep this close. They play disciplined football. They're not going to beat themselves. Cincinnati's just going to take it from them, so to speak. No Diddy. But, the Chargers are going to try to take the air out the ball, but it's not going to be enough. So if the Bengals can continue to improve the run game like they have over the last 2 to 3 weeks, they should walk out with a 10-point win.
So we got Chargers. Okay, here we go. The MVP conversation for Joe Burrow, real quick. I know I don't want to go for this tangent, but real quick. So he had the great game against Baltimore. So he's at 24 touchdowns. Figure he gets 2. Say he gets 3 against the Chargers. That puts him at 27 touchdowns, and I picked him to win. They get a bye week. They got Pittsburgh, Dallas, Tennessee. They could be 8 and 6 middle of December. And I think in those games, I think he could be somewhere around 33, 34 touchdowns. 8 and 6. Season started off slow. They look good. I think the MVP conversation ramps back up. Because the 6 losses haven't all been on him. They've been one-possession games. Yet people go back to the Kansas City penalty. They'll go back to all the penalties that didn't get called in the 2-point conversion.
The missed field goal against Baltimore in overtime.
The missed field goal. So it's like, hey, play here, play there. They're 6 and 4 right now. They're 9 and 4. Blah, blah, blah. People will rationalize the difference between 8 and 6 and 10 and 4.
Okay,
and so he'll have 33, 34 touchdowns. And he's Joe Burrow. He'll look the part. He'll look good every week. Jamar Chase will be leading offensive player of the year candidate because he'll probably be around in 4 weeks. We'll give him 1,200.
I don't know. You don't think Derrick Henry? Well, we'll talk about that another day.
We'll give him 1,200 yards, receiving.
Yeah, we'll talk about it another day.
So I like the redemption aspect of it, the mid-season redemption story. I'm with that.
So I got one question for you. How many points does Houston beat Dallas by?
Who's starting that number? It doesn't matter. I give it somewhere around the same 30-14, 30-13, something like that.
Okay. I know the Texans been having team meetings, so it's time to turn up for the second half of the season. So now,
3-game losing streak, 5 interceptions last week, and losing the game is nasty work.
Yes. All right. So now it's that time. Upset alert. Now remember, upset alert. Picking the team to cover. I'll give you my straight up upsets. So let's take it from the top. I got Syracuse covering 9.5 against Cal. Nebraska covering 9 at USC. Wake covering 10.5 at North Carolina. Arizona State covering 9 at the Little Apple. And Stanford covering 20.5 at the Farm against Louisville. Now, straight up, I'm taking Michigan State over Illinois. I'm going to try this one more again. I'm taking Kansas over BYU. I'm taking Rutgers.
Upset.
Yes, I'm taking Rutgers over Maryland. West Virginia over Baylor. And off we go into the wild blue yonder. The Air Force taking down the Beavers of Oregon State. So, Mr. Logical, let's start it off. I always got questions. Here we are. Does a loss this weekend knock Georgia out of playoff contention?
You ask me these questions every week. As a logical person, I say absolutely. Mathematically, I know the committee wants. At a certain point, the committee has to just recognize that the SEC isn't going to build their house for them. You're gonna have to get some other pieces to the building of your house. The foundation can be the 2 or 3 SEC teams that you think is great. You gotta get other pillars in there to fill it all the way out. Any 3 loss team should not be in competition for the national championship.
When
I
you
don't
play
care
12
where
games.
I don't care where you're geographically located. I don't care who your AD is. I don't care who your greatest NFL graduate is. Keep it simple. 2 losses is you're on the outside looking in. 3, you are going to the Meineke Car Care Bowl in Orlando. Just deal with it. Get your iPads and your iPhones or your hoodies or whatever gift package you get for going to the Under the Sun Bowl in Arizona or the Nabisco Oreo Cookie
Hey,
Bowl.
there is a Cheez-It Bowl.
Like whatever you get, you get. You don't get a shot at the national championship because you had your opportunity to stay undefeated. We all know it's a daunting task to stay undefeated at any level, anything you play, video games, duck, duck, goose, goddamn fantasy football, whatever it is. But it's supposed to be daunting because winning the big game, winning the whole thing is supposed to be tough.
No, my favorite bowl game, this was 2-3 years ago. Maryland against NC State in the Duke Mayo Bowl. And usually the Gatorade bath at the end of the game. Well, in the Duke Mayo Bowl, you get dumped with mayo.
Oh, yeah.
So the Maryland, so Dave Doran and Mike Loxley were calling everything but trying to win that game. Like it'd be like 3rd and 12, and they just hand it off. They weren't trying to get dumped with the mayo. So that's my favorite. But look, we got Tennessee going into Athens between the hedges this
Nico
weekend.
Love Your Mama not playing. Correct.
Well,
I saw a report yesterday. He said he doesn't think he's playing.
Well, so Tuesday when we were talking, Chris Felica the Bear sent out the tweet saying that Nico wasn't going to play. I saw a report yesterday that said that he wasn't going to play. Today, I saw that he was questionable. So I don't know if he's playing or not. What I do know, what I think is he's not playing because the line opened up at 7.5, and it's currently sitting at 10.5. So that tells me that either he's not playing or it's looking like he's not going to play. So with that being said, how you talked about earlier about how people don't want to make the decisions that come with the response. Well, you know what? I'm going to be 2-5 for a second.
Here we go.
I'm taking Tennessee to cover either way, whether Nico plays or not. You heard what I said. If Nico plays, okay, I put it like this. If Nico plays, I give Tennessee a 35% chance to win.
Okay.
If he doesn't, I knock that down to about 8.5%. You know what I mean? They're bringing, if he doesn't play, it's going to be Gaston Moore, who's a 5th-year senior. So I don't expect him to be rattled, down at Georgia. And so the one thing, this is what it is, right? When we used to watch Tom Brady for all these years, when we watched Kobe Bryant for all these years, and they lost the game, our reaction was, you don't want to be the next team to play them. That was our reaction. Tom Brady's going to win next week.
Oh, you're saying that Georgia coming off a loss is going to
that's what we're used to. But I don't know if this Georgia team is capable of that because Carson Beck has been having an awful season. They can't run the ball consistently. Even if you go back. Yes. Even if you go back to the Texas game. Because remember, we had that conversation. I picked Georgia to win that game because I was like, Georgia's going to come out, impose their will early. But if you go back and look at it, they jumped on Texas, but it was their defense. Their offense still didn't do much. They just jumped out to an early lead, and Texas couldn't come back.
I remember early in the season we were talking about Carson Beck, and some of the early preseason draft reports had him being one of the either the first quarterback taken or the number one overall pick, but definitely they had him ahead of Quinn, they had him ahead of Shador, they had him against ahead of that was like I didn't see anything that he's done. Because I think it's a lot of the last few Alabama quarterbacks where you're playing with so much talent, you shouldn't lose. But the fact that he's playing with this much talent and losing, Stetson Bennett was drunk all through college and was still out here winning national championship games. So it was like, I'll give Georgia the benefit of the doubt that they're at home and they just got their ass kicked last week. So it should be able to light a fire under enough players that it resonates with the team.
So
whereas if they were like if that was their third or fourth loss and it's like guys are checking out, guys are playing in the off season, guys are setting up Mexico trips for Christmas or whatever the case may be. But the fact that they're somewhat still in it, and you talked about your SEC winning conundrum, tiebreakers, yada, 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 so forth and so on. I give you that, but I'm not confident in picking Georgia, but I'm confident because the other team starting NIL money, bringing in quarterback, dynamic guy from California might not play. So that's my confidence level.
So, of course, there's always numbers that we got to consider. So Georgia has won 28 straight at home. They've won the last 7 against Tennessee, and the closest game was 14 points. So as you look through this, Georgia should have that. But this is the problem. So Dabo Swinney specializes in, they don't believe in us. Kirby Smart, was last year was talking about, they're picking us to go 7-5. Nobody said that. But that's what he was telling his team. So now, as we were talking about, can Georgia make the playoff? A lot of these pundits are saying, hey, they got the number 1 schedule in the country. They went to Texas. They went here. They went there. They went to Bama. So they have 3 losses, but we still know that they're a great team that had a hard schedule.
You're saying if they lose at Tennessee with that 3rd loss.
Yeah. So Kirby doesn't have that. No. But my point is Kirby can't say, hey, they're talking about how we're not going to make the playoffs. They're talking about he can only say that
he doesn't have a motivation.
Yeah, he can only say that if he watches Sports Reports as ordered.
Hey, we've won 28 games here in our home field. This streak was started by some of the seniors you looked up to when you got here as a freshman, whatever. He has that piece, and he has the fact that their starting quarterback isn't going to be there.
The last time Georgia lost back-to-back games?
Under Mark Richt?
2016. I think that was the year before Kirby took over, yeah. So I'm going to go with Georgia to win. Tennessee has
a nice buyout because I haven't seen him anywhere. Is he coaching anywhere?
He retired.
Because he had a nice little buyout.
Yeah, he probably did. But Tennessee hasn't given up 20 points this season. Not even to Bama. So I'm going to go with Georgia, and I'm going to call it 20 to 16. I'm going to give Tennessee
the benefit. Be that low?
I think so. Because Georgia, like I said, Georgia can't run the ball.
They can't or they don't?
They can't. Consistently. Like they
have ETN. They have like some of the top running backs that they got a top transfer in ETN. They got a top guy from Georgia. They got a 347-pound offensive line. They can't run the football.
They cannot.
That's a choice. That's the offense. That's an offensive strategic choice. Because I could get 30 yards behind our offensive line right now. You Georgia me up this week and give me 12 handoffs. I can get 30 yards behind.
Georgia has played 8 games. Yards. Georgia has played 8 games this season. Trevor Etienne has 477 yards. So if you want to break that down, that's just under 60 yards per game rushing the ball.
How many carries per game?
He's he's got 95 carries on the season.
Ooh, hold on.
So that's a little under 12. So that's right under 12 because
Oh, that's a
96 would be
catch,
12.
baby. Is it a catch?
Oh, is it Zach Ertz again? Zach Ertz.
Hold on. Let's see.
That's a catch.
Right foot.
That's a catch.
That's a catch.
As long as he maintained, that's a catch. That's a catch.
Oh, are we looking at it?
I think that's a catch. Yeah, I think they are because it's under 2 minutes, so the booth has to call for it.
And it's a 2-point conversion anyway, and scoring play.
But yeah, so he's averaging about 12 carries per game. You know what I mean? And
I'm listening. I'm
Georgia just
you can't tell the foot's on the ground.
No, he's
the bottom of his cleat. The bottom of his cleat is black. Oh, there it is. That's the best picture. Ball. That's the catch. That's a great throw.
Yeah.
Yep,
all right. So then you go out to Boulder. So you go out to Boulder, Colorado.
Utah fan here. I'm gonna go ahead and just say that a team with Colorado's winning that game.
But does Colorado cover the 11.5?
Well, they got 14 last week with the sack fumble. It's in Boulder. Yeah. I think they are.
So Brandon Rose is out for the season. You know, that goes along with their best offensive lineman, their best wide receiver.
Last week.
Yep. So you just basically line up Travis Hunter on Dorian Singer, erase him. You know, it's going to come down to Micah Bernard and if he can carry the load because
but that's the thing about that has to work if you are expecting the team to throw the ball. The running back can be the guy if there's an expectation of a threat from the pass, but there's no threat with the pass.
We're back to Isaac Wilson. So I'm gonna take Colorado, and I'm gonna call it something along the lines of 31-14, and the 14 might be generous.
Yeah, 31-13 wouldn't surprise me, but honestly, 31-17 because Utah's a gritty team wouldn't surprise me either.
But the one thing that the one
onside kicks 2 for 30.
The one chance that Utah does have is that they're eighth. They are eighth in opponent passer rating. So the secondary has been playing well. So you wonder if they can get home to Shador and force throws. That's going to be the key to where you get a short field, you know, and maybe you jump out, you know, let's call it 6-0. You know, you get 2 field goals, you know, and it's the end of the first quarter. The crowd gets a little unrest and you play a grind out, hold on to the football type game. But I just don't think they're good enough to
ball game.
I don't think they're good enough to make it happen. Yeah, I don't think they're good enough to make it happen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I said, I'm always going to be a fan of the teams that I'm a fan of, but you know, if you ask me honestly, it's only so much it's one thing if the team was an underdog, but they were full of like promise.
Right.
Isaac Wilson he's not a good quarterback. He's not ready to play. The Cam Rising still playing there that many years probably stopped them from being able to recruit top tier quarterbacks from out of state.
Right.
I think they should just let him go because like you're holding on. Like I said, I'll go back to the Bucs theories. Like at some point there has to be a recognition that it is time to let it go and move on to the next thing.
Yeah. So, you know, and then of course you go out to Camp Randall where you have the number 1 team in the nation, the Oregon Ducks, favored by 14.5 over the Wisconsin Badgers. We saw this a couple of weeks ago. Penn State went into Camp Randall. Wisconsin played them tough. Drew Aller got hurt. Bo Pribula came in, led a touchdown drive, put the game out of reach. So all I'm going to say is I'm challenging Luke Fickell. This is why they brought you to Wisconsin. You're supposed to win the games like this. You are considered one of the best coaches in the country for what you've done at Cincinnati, getting them to the playoff. But like I mentioned the other day, you brought in Phil Longo to try to install this high-paced passing offense. And to do that, step number one is you have to have a quarterback, which you do not have. So, Braden Locke, can he be smart and make on-time throws, check down, and rely on play action to attack Oregon, even though the secondary is the strength of Oregon's defense? Since Oregon played that game against Ohio State, where they won by the skin of their teeth by 1 point, Will Howard sliding and running out the clock, they have won their next games by an average of 26.5 points. So basically, long story short, Wisconsin fans deserve better because Camp Randall is one of the greatest environments in college football. Jump around to start the fourth quarter and all that jazz. But the team ain't hitting on nothing. So I'm going to pick Wisconsin to put a scare into Oregon. You thought I was going to say something else. I'm going to pick Wisconsin to put a scare into Oregon. And we're going to see something along the lines of a 31-24 game. And even with that being said, it might be a point where Oregon's up 31-17 and Wisconsin gets a garbage time touchdown like Washington just got to make the score a little bit better. But I wouldn't be surprised if I looked up at halftime and I saw something like a 10-10 game heading into the third quarter. So I'm going to trust Wisconsin fans because the same thing. They played Alabama earlier this year. They had control of that game until Tyler Van Dyke got hurt. And then it was an onslaught.
Alabama was dominating that game, man.
So, no, they weren't. Like they were dominant after Tyler Van Dyke went out. Like when at the time that Tyler Van Dyke or that he got hurt, they were up. Wisconsin was up 3-0 with about 4 minutes left in the first quarter, and they were at midfield. So once he went out, the offense just stalled.
Well, the offense stalls in Wisconsin all the time because their offense is not that good. It's just, sure. It hasn't been. It's just
and their best running back left the team.
Like, listen, if I have a top 10 pick, if I have a top 15 pick, and I'm the offensive lineman, and there's a guy on the board that's from Wisconsin, I'm picking him. But that's like par for the course for Wisconsin. Oregon has always been dynamic at the skill position, offensive line, and like they've always had like just abnormally tall like defensive ends. Like it's always like a thing that they end up having, like a 6'7" guy playing defensive end. Is like, where'd you come from? Like Deion Jordan, these guys like that. So I just feel like, sometimes college games, I don't know what the guys' pregame routines are. Let's figure number one teams in America, they tend to, especially when they're that dynamic, especially Oregon. Oregon is not out here just kind of piecing it together. They have a great program. Phil Knight has said he'll pump as much money into whatever the program needs to get that national championship. We thought it was going to take a year because I believe that conversation came out after this season already started. But obviously it's looking a lot like, hey, my dreams of bringing a national football championship to Oregon, if I'm Phil Knight, they could potentially come to fruition this year. And if not, like I said, Oregon probably had like the best low-key NIL booster there is, because he can give them the products from his company without it being, illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about, I used to collect a lot of shoes early, like 2013, 14, maybe up to like 2016. I was really into like collecting shoes. The Oregon Duck colorway for so many shoes, they were always limited. For some reason, Mark Wahlberg always had a pair. And it's like, that's what the players were getting. The players were getting limited cleats, limited basketball shoes that were always, so they were kind of hedging the NIL deal already. They just couldn't seal the final deal. But I think like right now, they have it. Granted, their quarterback is pretty old. He's older, and then maybe that lock out for him. But I just think the lack of dynamic skill players in Wisconsin is going to be the thing that ultimately slows them down. And
For sure.
you know,
For sure.
guys going to get open, and I think like the Oregon guys getting open in space is more of a detriment to a defensive staff than the Wisconsin guys.
All right. So of course, saying quick random notes before we get out of here. So DJ Lagway is back. Look out, LSU. I want to see how LSU reacts to the beatdown Bama put on them. Or is this going to be one of those situations like, shout out to Black Adam. He told me this, where the SEC team loses a certain amount of games and they know that they can't play for the national title. They just
phone it in.
Yeah, they don't want to be there. You know what I mean? Well, you know what? Do better. You know what I'm saying? If you can't get a coach that'll make you play, get them out of there. You still got a chance to win the SEC. You still got a chance to make the playoff, even though you have 3 losses. If you win the SEC, you're in. So the season ain't over yet. So I want to see how.
That's the only way I want to see a 3-loss team is if they get the automatic, we won our conference spot. I don't want someone saying, hey, man, a 9-3 Georgia is dangerous. Way more dangerous than a 10-2 SMU.
Yeah, Georgia loses this weekend, and they're out of the SEC championship race, basically. So, the 80s baby in me is looking forward to this Texas at Arkansas game down in Fayetteville. I gave it to you earlier this season, Arkansas over Tennessee. I'm not going to go that far this time. You know what I mean? But same thing, same rules apply. 14-14 at halftime, and then let the chips fall where they may. I think Arkansas is going to give Texas a run. West Virginia and Baylor the last couple of years has been one of the better games of the season, even though nobody cares because the teams haven't been that good. But it's always an explosion, and both coaches came into the season on the hot seat. One still is. So let's see how that goes. Dylan Raiola is cleared to play against USC this weekend. So there was some talk that we were going to see Heinrich Harburg.
That Shedeur Sanders, we are every team's Super Bowl fits so perfectly in the Nebraska storyline for this season.
Yeah.
Because they have been a completely different team since they dismantled Colorado. Week 3? They've been a completely different thing. Matt Rule must just be like a nice guy. It must be a guy you just like.
Nah, I told you when we did our preseason thing. Year 3. Next year is the year. And you get that year
with off until then.
You get that year with Raiola playing a full season this year. You know what I mean? Unless he transfers, because what was it? He went to like 5 different high schools or something like that.
A few different high schools, but it's family reasons, and he's at Nebraska for a family reason.
I know. I'm just saying.
So his last high school he went to was family related. So I figured he's gonna lock in Nebraska. And he has the Adidas and the faux hawk. He looks like Patrick Mahomes. Wears
the
NIL just writes itself.
So quick Friday night picks real quick. Give me, I'm going to be in the building. So give me UTSA straight up. You know what I'm saying? North Texas is favored by 1, but I'm going to take UTSA. Give me Colorado State to cover the 9.5 against Wyoming. They're favored by 9.5. Give me Washington covering their 4 that they're favored by over UCLA at home. Blackout game. And then Colt Brennan, rumors are, I brought it up the other night in my hot seat. See, I brought it up in the hot seat. Today, we got the report that tomorrow night may be Brent Brennan's last game as the head coach at Arizona. So,
and you said Colt Brennan. Is that Colt Brennan's little brother or something?
did I say Colt Brennan?
You said Colt Brennan. I thought
Oh
it
no,
was
I
like
don't think they're related. But
okay,
Brent Brennan,
okay.
So yeah, I'm taking Houston. Arizona's favored by 1.5. I'm taking Houston to win that game. So we'll see if he gets fired or not. Ken Naimataolo, I think that's how you say it. Former Navy coach, has San Jose sitting up here 6-3. Watch out, Boise. I'm not calling the upset, but just watch out. And they got UNLV in a couple of weeks too. South Carolina, Missouri. South Carolina is favored by 13.5 in that game. And Missouri's awful. South Carolina's going to cover, coming off of their 16th straight win against Vanderbilt. So, Mr. Logical, let me close out with this.
All right.
Last week, I was watching Oklahoma and Missouri. There was about 4.5 to 5 minutes left in the game.
Okay.
The score was 16-9. Final score 30-23. They lost the game because Jackson Arnold.
Fourth quarter.
Huh?
34 points in the fourth quarter between the two teams. Yeah.
No, but like in 4 minutes though. And they lost the game because Jackson Arnold got strip sacked and Missouri ran it in for the touchdown when all they probably had to do was hand it off and go to overtime.
Well, we talk about this in our Go for Two conversations. And I know it's all predicated on where you are in the field, how good your team is playing. I know analytics just strictly do the math. Where you are in the field. I remember a press conference with Dean Pease was talking about, you guys keep talking about analytics, but it's also dependent on how the game is going. If the game is 20-21, do you go for do you go for it on fourth down or do you punt it? Whatever. It's like it all dependent. But if the score is 44-40 or 45-42 and it's been an offensive showcase, yeah, you probably want to keep the ball and go for it because it's like neither defense has stopped anyone. But if it's different, analytics doesn't really factor that in. So I think in college football, because the big play is so prominent, you think you're going to get one off and you don't link to your rationale. Like, you know what? How do we get out of here and just play from the 25-yard line?
Well,
because in going for two in the NFL, I like going for two because you have to move a pretty substantial distance in the field in overtime, even if you win the coin toss, to get in scoring position. You get the ball at the 30, you got to get to the 20. Most kickers are kicking it from the 40, so you figure you still got to get 30 to 35 yards to be in field goal range. Whereas in college football, I'll play for the tie and then go to overtime, let them get the ball first. If they get a touchdown, I'll get a touchdown to go for two because the parameters are different. So that's what it is. Sometimes coaches just kind of outthink themselves.
Well, there were 42 seconds left. They were at their own 18, and he got strip sacked. They ran it in for a touchdown.
Yeah, In hindsight, it sucks. But like I said, a safety in the wrong position in a college football game could be a touchdown.
Right.
We've seen a running back come out in the flat, and it's a flood concept to the left. He leaks out to the right.
Route. Yeah.
Wheel route, and there's no one there because everyone flowed to the strong side where the flood was, and this person is just they got to beat one guy at the 50 to get the end zone. We've seen that, and I think sometimes you, as a college coach, you rest on that.
And the last game that I got my eye on is Virginia, the Cavaliers traveling up to Notre Dame.
I knew when I saw that, I was like, Mike's gonna have something for this.
No. I'm not. I'm just watching
No.
it.
I just
You know what I'm saying? I'm not calling anything. I'm not calling anything. But
when I saw it, I was like, Mike's gonna have something on this.
yeah, 23 and a half. You know what I mean? I'm just watching it. Just watching it.
So 23 and a half. So you're watching Virginia to cover or some Northern Illinois kind of activity?
Both.
Ooh, my
Both.
dad and
I'm
my dad's
watching
a
it.
UVA fan.
I'm not calling it. I'm not putting it on the official ledger, but
You feel it though.
I'm just watching it. I'm just watching it. Got my eye on it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but on that note, y'all, thanks for joining us. Like, review, subscribe, share, rate. Do all the free things. Do all the good things. We love you. And we be back on Tuesday.
I just banged my desk.
I saw that.